In this video, I'm going to review the parts of the skin that you're responsible for. I didn't mark these with numbers or circle them like you'll see in other models throughout the semester because they're marked pretty well and it's pretty easy to see. First thing I'm going to do is go through the layers of the skin that you need to know. From here, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all the epidermis. Okay, they're all the epidermis. Now, you're going to ask, why are they different colors? There are actually 4 to 5 different layers of the epidermis, and we'll talk about a couple of them in lecture. 5 is the lowest layer. It's going to go through mitosis and the cells move up. But for lab, you just need to know from here to here is the epidermis. From here down to here is the dermis. Epi means on top, so epidermis on top of the dermis. So all this stuff in here is the dermis, okay, is the dermis. What you're seeing mostly in there is connective tissue, which you should have reviewed in lab. The last layer is actually not a layer of the skin. It's called subcutaneous, below the skin, or hypodermis, below the dermis, and that's all in here. And most of that's adipose or fatty tissue. So again, that's not a layer of the skin, but you are responsible for knowing that. People store about 60 to 70% of their body fat in that hypodermis or subcutaneous layer. Now let's look at the structures within the skin, within these layers that we've talked about. Right here is the sweat gland. Okay, right here is the sweat gland. We'll do a case study involving this in lecture. Here you see the blood supply. It causes a person to sweat. All right, and the evaporation of that sweat will help cool them off. Down in here is the hair follicle. Now, as you look at these models, as you go through the semester, this, and this are all the same structure. What they've done is, here's the full thing where they haven't cut it, so you can't see what's going on inside. Here they've partially cut it, so you see what it looks like. And here they've done a full cross section, so you can see all the structures located within it. So I will most of the time, if not always, point to specific areas. I'm not going to point here and ask you what it is. So right in here is what we call the hair follicle, and that's where hair growth occurs. If you notice, you see these pink cells, they kind of invaginate or go into that layer. So what your hair is basically modified epidermis cells. And so here's the hair follicle where the hair is going to grow, and it's going to obviously grow up. Okay, it's going to grow up, and everything from about here up until you get to coming out of the skin is the hair root, and then the part of the hair that is above the surface is the shaft of the hair, or the hair shaft. Okay, so you have follicle down here, you have root down here, and then the hair shaft is up here. What makes your hair stand on end is these little, so it's actually a smooth muscle called erector pili muscle right in here. So when you get goosebumps, okay, those will contract and put your hair on end. Is a myth that your hair grows more when you have goosebumps. It does not, but that's the erector pili muscle. Where it comes from is in other animals. When their hair stands on end, if you've ever seen a cat that's scared, or what happens is they're trying to look big, and the other thing it does is it also keeps hairy animals warm. It keeps the warm air near the surface. We don't have enough hair anymore for that to work for us, but that's where it came from. Also around the hair, you'll see number 11 here, and that is the sebaceous gland. That is the sebaceous gland. That secretes oil that helps protect the skin, moisturize the skin. When that becomes infected, that causes the development of acne. Now all these structures here, and notice they're all different shape, and on your list it says it's touch and pressure receptors. Receptors will be fine on a test. They look different because they respond to different stimuli. So these are all parts of the nervous system. Some are pressure, some can be pain, heat, cool, those kind of things. So these are all, and again, they have different numbers and they have different shapes because they respond to different stimuli, but those are all receptors in the skin. So we went through the epidermis, the dermis, hypodermis, it's down here, receptors, which I just showed you, the sweat gland, the hair follicle, the root of the hair shaft, the erector pili muscle, and the sebaceous gland. So those are the structures you need to know. Make sure you review these, watch this again if you need to, and then also do the practice worksheet and take the practice exam on this so you're ready for the big test in class.